Hello and welcome to Rajya Sabha Television. You're watching The Big Picture with me, Frank Pereira. May Day, also known as International Workers' Day and as Labour Day in some parts of the world, is an occasion that pays tribute and respect to workers and their contribution towards making our lives easier. A cause close to the heart of many socialists, communists and the labour movement, May Day celebrates and honours workers. The day's importance lies in the dreadful times that workers in the United States saw when they protested workers' rights violations, straining work hours, poor working conditions and wages and also child labour. May 1st was chosen to be the International Workers' Day that symbolizes the workers' struggle and their empowerment in the late 19th century. In India, the first Labour Day was celebrated in 1923 in Chennai. And today, around India, organizations and trade unions arrange pageants. Children enter contests so they can understand the importance of fairness for workers, and political leaders make speeches. On this edition of The Big Picture, we will analyze if the labour movement is still relevant. Joining me on the program today are Santosh Mehrotra, Professor of Economics, JNU, Ashwani Rana, Leader, Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, Amitava Guha, National Working Committee member, Centre of Indian Trade Unions, and Ashok Singh, National Vice President, Indian National Trade Union Congress. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me on this edition of The Big Picture. Amitava Guha, I'd like to start with you, of course, and ask you how relevant really is the labour movement today?
This is very important for all of us in the trade union. Since the Workers' Day, it proclaims the international solidarity of the workers' movement, and it has got very relevant in the context that now the workers' rights are attacked from all the sides. Therefore, a consolidated action from the workers should be the message of the day, to protect their rights, to protect and advance their struggles. Therefore, this day we observe as a solidarity of international workers' movement.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But has the labour movement lost steam in India, Ashok Singh?
Certainly not.
Is it as relevant as it used to be maybe a few years ago?
100%. It is most relevant today, because the government is talking about the capital, not about the workers. That's why all the trade union together in the country, 12 out of 12, 11 at least, they're together. They're sitting together, they sit together, they think together, they move together. Because the policy of the government is not in the favor of the workers, it is only in the favor of the capital. That's why if we have to protest, we have to give respect and regard to the workers, to the slum, to the labor. We have to unite and we have to protest. And that's why labour movement is very much essential today and needs today in the country.
I agree with you completely. It's needed and it is, extremely important today.
Yes.
But do you believe somewhere down the line that it has lost steam? And because several things have happened. For instance, contractual labourers have come into being. The unorganized sector too, their rights are not being represented. So the whole idea of the labour movement, of course, was a great idea. But today, there seems to be a lot of exploitation.
Sir, yes, you are right. So where the organized sector is concerned, the most exploitation is there. Agriculture workers, maybe the construction workers, more exploitation. In the name of contract workers, they are working as the permanent workers. They are working, but they are what they're getting, 1/4 of the salary what the permanent workers are getting. It's exploitation. It is totally 100% exploitation. Then they need the trade union who will fight for them. That's why it's very relevant. Now, nowadays, in the previous years, the last 40 years, we never sit together. All the 11, 12 trade union centers in the country, major, maybe Intech, maybe HMS, maybe BMS, maybe C2 and the ATEC, all that. BMS somewhere, sometime not come. Maybe some region, I don't want to say here. But all 11 trade union centers, they sit together. And now in 30th, we are going to have a big meeting and we are going to think about it, what to do, what is the next step.
Okay, what are the next steps that need to be taken as far as labour reforms are concerned, Ashwani Rana?
See, regarding labor reforms, we are thinking and discussing, and our issue is whatever labor laws are there, if government is sincere, they can implement the existing laws. There is no need to reforms. If they cannot implement the existing laws, what is the remedy of reforms? What is the need of the new laws?
You know, yeah, yes.
I want to say something. Okay, fine, you do the reforms. But labor law meant for whom? For the workers? For the industry? Then labor law should be connected to in the national interest, in the industry interest, in the worker interest. And you're not taking confidence so for the worker is concerned, for the trade union is concerned, and you're reforming, you don't know what to do, what not to do. And they are trade unions, they are working since long, so many years. They know what we must do in this time for the workers, so that they can feel relaxed.
Would you concede at least that the government is looking in the right direction, because the allocation towards the Labour Ministry has gone up over the last 2 or 3 years? If you look at the allocation in the budget, the Labour Ministry's allocation has gone up. So that's a step in the right direction, isn't it?
Allocation has gone up for what? For whom? For whom? You tell me. Permanent, temporary, there is no permanent, there is no temporary, only contract workers. You are giving one salary. Budget is going high. It is reaching to them. Huh? Budget may be anything. But it is not reaching the workers who they are working.
So contractual...
See the picture. This lady is working, construction workers, and they are not, it's not enough they are getting salary to take care of their home, to their children.
Fair enough. Point taken.
Yes.
You know, Professor Mehrotra, the situation today remains like, there are several members who are part of the unorganized sector. There are several people in the organized sector too who are contractual laborers. So that's when, the relevance of the trade unions and the labor movement comes into existence. And also it shows that they are required more so than ever right now. But do you believe that their relevance is somewhere diminishing of late?
I don't necessarily believe that their relevance is diminishing, and I think, as all the three speakers have said rightly, and I agree with them very strongly, that if anything, the relevance of the labor movement has actually increased. At least should be increasing, and it should be increasing for the following reason, because if you, as you've been rightly pointing out, you see 78% of all our workers, and all our workers is 500 million workers, 78% of them work in enterprises which employ less than 10 workers. That's the definition of an unorganized enterprise. Now, there is very little representation of the trade union movement in the unorganized sector. It's limited. It's there, but it's limited. The relevance is also great. So, that's a very important issue that I think trade unions need to think about. They need to make themselves more relevant in the unorganized sector. This is point one. Point two is the following, and as you've been rightly pointing out, that contract labor, and particularly workers who don't have any social insurance in the organized sector, their share has been growing. So, for instance, in the year 2000, the share of informal workers in the organized sector, enterprises which employ more than 10 workers, was only 36%, about sort of, let's say, 1 in 3. Now it's 62%. Since then it has only gone up. So, therefore, the relevance of the trade union movement should be increasing. There is no question about that. Now, you mentioned the fact that the Ministry of Labour's budget has gone up. I don't take that very seriously. I don't think the Ministry of Labour's job is that much to spend money. Its job is essentially to make sure that the laws which are conflicting in nature, which are too many in nature, they need to be rationalized. Now, the government has been making make good steps in that direction. So, the 45 labor laws that exist in the central government alone, union government, are in the process of being rationalized. And we already have 2 codes up on the website of the Ministry of Labour. A third code has also gone up, which is Social Security, and it's very good news that Social Security for the unorganized sector is under serious consideration. And I'm sure the labour movement will be a strong advocate of Social Security for workers in the unorganized sector, because these are the most vulnerable workers. So, there is a clear relevance of the labour movement. There is no question. In their absence, I think the country would be at a loss.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Amitabh Goa, as far as the unorganized sector, I have been mentioning it from the beginning, and even the professor has mentioned it, and how their rights need to be represented. How is that possible? How do we take that forward?
There is a myth somebody has created that we in the trade union, we do not take care of the unorganized sector. Now, unorganized sectors are on more than 90% according to their own observation. So, if 90% are not taken care of, trade unions would not have existed today. We do have a large amount of unorganized sectors workers as our members. We have movement, and we are also pursuing it strongly. Now, Dr. Mehrotra's point is very taken, because relevance of trade union movement is always required in shaping the laws. Now, reform for what? I need to question this thing, that by your so-called labor codes, you want to rationalize. In the name of rationalization, 70% workers will be out of the trade union laws, out of the trade union facilities. Do you think this is rationalization? And do you think the number of violations, international codes violations, ILO's convention violations this government is doing one after another by minimizing the opinion of the workers? Do you think this is rational? Do you think this is rational that they have called a meeting today, for example, a meeting today of the central trade unions to observe International Labour Day? How dare they could do it when they have taken all measures to take away the rights of the trade union workers, all rights to the work, for snatching the rights from the workers? They called a meeting, and we, the central trade unions, almost all of us, we have boycotted that meeting because government has got no right. One hand, you do not listen to the trade unions. When trade unions are unitedly going on struggle, unitedly approaching for discussion, you are not listening to them. You are not taking care of the real problems we have projected in the meetings. You are going ahead with your one-sided, one-track thing in the name of ease of business, so that the employer class, they can get the maximum advantages, let alone the multinational companies' influence. Therefore, the workers' right is attacked. We are consolidating workers. We are agitating our relevance. We will establish our relevance. We do not need any advice. We do not need any suggestion. We ourselves unitedly, all, as Ashokji said, that we are all united together and we are fighting together. That will be the future movement of the workers to establish their relevance before the government, where the government is not listening to anybody, anything, and they are going ahead and implementing whatever they have earlier, a pre-decided situation they have created. Therefore, for the government, relevance of the trade union may disappear, but it is not so for the workers.
Okay, fair enough. That's a very valid point that you're making. But, Ashok Singh, do you believe that a struggle is on the anvil, and a struggle is what is required to ensure that this particular movement goes out to all the workers and goes out to the masses, like we saw when the labour movement initially started? It started out of a struggle, peaceful protest, then turned violent. Is that something that we're moving towards?
Certainly. You're right. That's why all it is, as Mr. Goa told you, we are sitting together. It is on our agenda. So, for the organized sector is concerned, it is more than 90%. All it is centers since last so many years, we worked only for the organized sector, not for organized sectors. Now we are thinking serious to how we can organize, and I say with big value. It's not very easy to organize them, but we are sitting together. There is unity now. How we can organize, how we can come under one umbrella. How the workers of this country, which is 47 crores in number, they can come under one umbrella to fight for their rights, for their survival.
Sure.
Yes. This is a very important point.
So it's a fight for the survival as far as the trade
Survival,
unions
yes.
are concerned.
Not trade union, for the workers.
For the workers. And that's what you're representing.
Yeah, that's why we are representing them.
Fair enough.
Yes.
Fair enough. Ashwani Rana, We spoke about laws, we spoke about an overhaul of laws, but is that really going to change anything on the ground?
Definitely, certainly, if government will consider the demands of the trade unions, definitely it will change the scenario, it will change the labor movement, labor life, workers' life, and if they will not consider, means they will take their own unilateral decision, there will not be any change in workers' conditions. So, today it is a Labor Day, but I want to speak about this, that as a BMS, we are from Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh. Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh is, they are not celebrating this is a trade union, this Labor Day on 5. We are celebrating on 17th September because it is an international trade union, International Labor Day. And International Labor Day, it was relevance is for United States struggle of workers. But United States, Canada, so many countries, they are not celebrating this as a trade union Labor Day. In India, so many countries, they have a different, their own Labor Days. So, but being a trade union, we should say that we should, the relevance of trade union movement will be there till the workers will not get their rights, their social security.
What is it that you demand from the government? What is it that you want from the government? How do you see things changing?
At least minimum wages demanded, 18,000 demanded for minimum wages, and pension as a minimum 3,000 rupees as a social security pension, some insurance. At least minimum requirement should be given for the unorganized workers. Organized worker will get after some struggle, but in organized workers also there is a lot of contract workers. In central government also their own ministries, these workers working on a contract, more than 50%. So how you can say that you are considering the demands of the workers?
If you don't mind, can I set an example actually? Anganwadi workers in the country, lakhs of Anganwadi workers, they are in the different states, they are getting different salary. Nature of work is same. In UP they are getting 4,000, in Haryana they are getting 4,000, and out of this 2,700 something 80 rupees, it is central government is giving, only 1,000 giving the state government, and for the Goa they are giving 12,000. Why it is it? It is our slogan, Saman Betan, Saman Kaam. समान काम का समान, the nature of work is same. If झाड़ू वाला है, sweeper वाला है, suppose he is cleaning the house, either Rajya Sabha TV channel or the Rashtrapati Bhavan, they must get the same salary,
Right.
because they are getting the same job, doing the same job, same pay, same salary. If it is like that, then there is no explanation.
Fair enough.
Where are you working? Either in Rashtrapati Bhavan or the Rajya Sabha TV channel, either any office. Any private, any public sector, cooperative sector or government. If you are the same job, it is your right to get the same salary.
Fair enough. Do you see that happening, Professor?
Well, if it doesn't happen, I think the struggles will only increase. And you know, it is about the fairest demand that exists from the trade union movement, that if the same work is being done, whether it is being done by a permanent worker or by a contractual worker, the same wage must be given. It's about the most logical demand that exists. And you know, unfortunately, this has not been happening, and I think this needs to change. Otherwise, this, you know, constant source of conflict will remain. So this is an issue which actually absolutely must get resolved, and rather quickly. Although those who are doing this, in other words, not paying equal pay for equal work, are in violation of the contract labor law in any case, because it's not the law, but it's there in the rules. But let me turn to another issue which I think has been raised. You know, one of the big differences between informal workers and formal workers is the presence or the absence of Social Security. What do I mean by that? Death and disability, and old age pension and maternity benefit. Now, 93% of our workforce doesn't have access to any of these three basic requirements under the ILO conventions.
Right.
So it's absolutely critical that, gradually we ensure that for all workers, but all workers, contract workers, workers in the unorganized sector, slowly we ensure that these three means of social security are made available, because this will enable one big difference between the formal and the informal work to disappear. I mean, I'm not for a moment taking away from the issue of wages. Yes, of course, wages are very important. But this is in the hands of government. Wages are not necessarily always in the hands of government.
Right.
In some cases there are, in other cases they are not. But this is in the hands of government. This is what I'm saying.
Indeed. Indeed. Yes, Ashwani Rana, you wanted to make a point.
Relevancy of a trade union movement still exists, because nowadays whatever multinational companies are coming, big private banks are coming, they are not allowing the trade union to function. So relevancy is there, but they are not allowing. So we have to fight with the government, with the private management. Both sides we have to fight, we have to organize.
Fair enough. T.K. Rajalakshmi, Deputy Editor of the Frontline magazine, has joined us on the program now. So let me get her point of view in as well. We're talking about the relevance of, the trade unions, and also the relevance of the labor movement in India, and has it really lost steam, or is it still extremely relevant in today's world?
Okay. First of all, the significance, of May Day, or the 1st of May, which is also called, International Labour Day, it cannot be underscored enough, because given the kind of terms of employment, the kind of quality of employment that we are seeing, the world wide over, and also in terms of which people are seen, to be reacting against those terms of employment as well as the quality of work. Again, globally, we've seen Brexit, etc. These are all expressions, okay, which have in fact occurred. So the significance on the first part, cannot be understated as such. Right. So May Day, in fact, continues to be relevant. It is in fact a reminder that the condition in which we all find ourselves today, the condition of rights included, are because of the struggles of ordinary workers in the late 19th century, and which was led by socialists as well as a section of the anarchists.
Sure.
If I may put that. So I think the trade union movement, as far as the trade union movement in India is concerned, they are doing their bit. In fact, they are doing lots more. They are now also trying to organize the unorganized sector. It's a huge challenge, because given the kind of repression that they face, in fact, there are problems forming unions. There are problems sustaining unions. There are problems in even securing a decent minimum wage, which we have seen that trade unions have been fighting with the government for in fact since the time of the UPA. Right. Now this particular government, yes, it came with a big bang. It said Shrameva Jayate. There were many good things also said. Then at the same time there was ease of doing business also said. But so all these things seem a little bit contradictory, and so I feel that the trade union movement is at a stage where it needs to do far more. It is doing in the face of extremely strong challenges.
Right, and a lot more is required, is what you're saying.
Yes,
of course,
yes.
I'm going to get quick closing comments from all my guests, starting with Amitava Guha. A quick closing, concluding remark.
My conclusion is that this May Day is not for only wages. It was primarily because of working hours. So people have given their life. But then our government is trying to enhance the working hours from 8 hours to 12 hours. So this has become more relevant for us to protest on this day than when our government wants the policy is more work, less wages, and less trade union rights. So this we are combating, we are fighting. We will have to go ahead with further struggle on this. This is the May Day's message today.
Fair enough. Ashok Singh, your
I want to say
concluding
something in
remarks.
one line.
Yes.
Because you are concluding now. Slogan, so for the government slogan and policy, that is different. Slogan is different and policy is different. It is not correlated. What you are want to say something to the workers, we want to, this government want to work with the workers, with the poor, but not, policy is not there.
Fair enough.
They are not getting the same wages, they are not getting the social security, they are not getting anything. You are talking about the house, how they can get the house? They are not getting the minimum wages, so for the social security, the house is very far away. Now, so for the wages is something else, like Professor Saab, we should not, but the labor is not getting the respect, recognition, and regards in the society also.
Respect and recognition is what you're
Yes.
demanding. Fair enough. Ashwani Rana, your concluding remarks.
Sir, I want to say that we should not mix this labor movement day, because so many organizations like BMS and their workers, they have a different labor day. So we should not mix it. But labor movement will be there till the worker will not get their justified rights.
Fair enough. Professor, your concluding remarks.
I would just make a strong plea on this Labour Day to all the trade unions which are represented around the table and which are those which are not, that they need to join hands together to pressurize this government to actually pass the law on social security for unorganized workers. There's been some movement, there's a draft code there, and this is one thing that they must unite on, so that in the next 2 years this can be there's a start made towards ensuring that, you know, some 80% of our workers who are without any social insurance get it.
Okay, fair enough. TK Rajalakshmi, close the show for us with your closing remarks.
Well, the struggle in fact lies ahead. The trade unions are cognizant of what they have to do, and it's a very significant thing that the trade unions, in fact, the majority of the central trade unions are on the same page, and they have been on the same page for the last few years, which is a huge sign of optimism. And yes, the government has to be. There are some things that the government has to take back. For instance, it has to take back certain changes that it has brought in the labor laws.
Right.
Well, on social security, yes, it has to be a decent social security. It can't be just a token amount of social security. Because ultimately we are talking about the quality of life ultimately, and that applies to everybody. And so to expect that industry will grow, industry will flourish at the cost of labor, it's not going to happen. And it's also been shown and proved that flexibility in the name of labor laws, it actually does not lead to greater growth or to greater productivity of any kind.
Fair enough. On that note, we'll have to call it a wrap on this edition of The Big Picture. Santosh Mehrotra, Ashwani Rana, Amitabh Guha, TK Rajalakshmi and Ashok Singh, thank you so much for joining me on the program and putting things into perspective for us. That's all the time we have on this edition of The Big Picture. See you again next time.